NATO confirmed that Canada has achieved its 2% defense expenditure target, half a decade ahead of the original schedule.
One man, one decision, and the entire world stopped. Canada, the country that was always called NATO's weakest link, the country Trump pointed at again and again, the country everyone said would never pay its share. That Canada just stood up, chest out, head high, and said,
NATO confirmed that Canada has achieved its 2% defense expenditure target.
5 years early, and we are just getting started. This was not just an announcement, this was a warning to the most powerful country on earth. And the man who delivered that warning, Mark Carney.
That is necessary to have the hub, but it also is something that supports.
March 26, 2026, Halifax, Nova Scotia. Standing in front of a Navy warship, Mark Carney picked up the mic and said it plainly. NATO has confirmed. Canada has achieved the 2% defense spending target. The room went silent. Why? Because Canada had not done this since 1990, since the fall of the Berlin Wall. For the first time in over 3 decades, $63 billion in one single year.
For the first time, as I said, since the fall of the Berlin Wall, we'll be spending that 2% of GDP on defense. So when you look at the 2% that we're spending now, it's core defense. And that needs to go, and this is a big move, it needs to go from 2 to 3.5% of GDP. And
the largest year-on-year defense increase in generations. But where did this trigger come from? Listen carefully. In 2025, Trump gave NATO a direct ultimatum. Pay your 2%, or don't expect America to defend you. Spain heard it, Italy heard it, Belgium heard it, Canada heard it, everyone heard it. But Canada did not just hear it, Canada acted on it. Immediately. Now understand this, the 2% is not just money. This is a chess game, and Carney is playing it at grandmaster level. First, where did the 2% go? Core defense, new warships, new Air Force facilities, new naval bases, $1.2 billion, CFB Halifax Dockyard modernization, $648 million, 14-wing Greenwood aviation facilities, $82.5 million, Halifax Gate Waterfront Industrial Site, $60 million, new housing for armed forces members, all in Atlantic Canada, all close to the US border, all sending a message. Now look at what comes next. Carney said clearly, 2% is only the foundation. The new target, 5% of GDP by 2035. 3.5% core defense spending, 1.5% resilience, cyber, AI, and quantum. But that 5%, you need to understand it deeply. Carney put inside it northern operating support hubs, military bases in Canada's far north, deep in the Arctic region, where Russia sits, where America watches, transportation corridors, new roads and routes through the north, for military movement, for trade, for sovereignty, cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, quantum computing. Is this defense, or is this economic investment? It is both. That is Carney's genius. One spending plan, 2 massive benefits. Military gets stronger, economy gets stronger, and voters stay happy. But as always, the pushback came fast. Conservative MP James Bezan said, "This is creative accounting. Over $10 billion was moved from other government departments. The actual military capabilities have not improved." That is a serious accusation. Did Carney simply shift numbers around? Did Canada's real military strength actually grow? Carney's response was simple, direct, unshaken. Recruitment in the Canadian forces is up 13%. That is a very clear message. We are changing, and we are not stopping. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte added something important. He said publicly, without the current American administration, NATO would not be at 2%. Big economies like Canada, Spain, Italy were far behind. So here is the real question. Is this Carney's victory, or is this Trump's pressure producing results? The honest answer, it is both. But in politics, credit belongs to whoever acts. Carney acted. Carney gets the credit. What did the market say? Canadian defense stocks moved sharply upward. Defense industry, 600 companies. 36,000 direct jobs, $14.3 billion in annual revenue. All of this is about to grow significantly. Atlantic Canada alone, 10,000 aerospace and defense jobs, 20% of Canada's total defense employment. Investors started calculating. If Carney reaches 5% by 2035, this sector will explode. And then came the biggest signal. Canada joined the US's Safe Defense Initiative. February 2026, at the Munich Security Conference. What does that mean? Canada is no longer dependent only on American defense contracts. Europe is now a growing market. Europe is now a strategic partner. Slowly, deliberately, Carney is reducing Canada's economic dependence on Washington. This is not just defense spending. This is a long-term economic pivot. Back home, what happened politically? Carney's approval, through the roof. He entered as Liberal leader. He is now seen as a national hero. Why? Trudeau's plan was to hit 2% by 2030. Carney hit it in 2025, 5 years early. That single fact is his most powerful political weapon. The opposition pushed back hard. Bezin said it was the American president who forced Canada's hand, not Canadian leadership. That stings, because there is truth in it. Without Trump's pressure, this timeline might never have happened. But Carney flipped it masterfully. The world has changed. We are changing with it. This is not for NATO. This is for Canada. Voters heard it. Voters believed it. Political result? The Liberal Party is in its strongest position in years. And Carney is the reason why. But do not think the tension is over. The tension is just beginning. Look at where Canada's northern hubs are located. The Arctic. And who else is in the Arctic? Russia, China, and the United States. Trump told Canada, you should become the 51st state. Canada said no. Now Canada is building military hubs in the Arctic, laying transportation corridors through the north, installing cyber defenses across its border regions. This is a warning to Russia. This is a signal to China. But it is also a direct message to America. We do not need your protection. We will defend our own sovereignty. The Arctic is ours. Here is where the deeper tension lives. America and Canada are partners in NORAD. They share Arctic defense responsibilities. But if Canada deepens its U partnership further, if Canada builds a fully independent defense industry, if Canada starts buying European equipment instead of American, what happens then? A new fault line opens in the US-Canada relationship. It is hidden right now, but by 2035, it may be impossible to ignore. 3 scenarios. 3 futures. Scenario 1. Best case. Canada becomes a new power. Canada reaches 5% GDP defense spending by 2035. It becomes a world leader in AI, cyber, and quantum technology. Arctic sovereignty is fully secured. Canada's role in NATO and the EU grows dramatically. The economy booms. Jobs multiply. Carney enters history as Canada's most transformative prime minister. Likelihood? Possible. If the economy keeps growing. Scenario 2. Middle case. Progress with new tension. Canada reaches 3.5% but struggles with the final push to 5%. US-Canada trade tensions increase as Canada diversifies away. A security incident occurs in the Arctic with Russia. Canada spends years balancing between NATO, the US, and the EU. Economy grows, but slowly. Scenario 3. Worst case. Overreach and collapse. Canada spends aggressively on defense. The economy slows. Recession hits. Social programs get cut. Healthcare suffers. Voters turn angry. Opposition wins the 2027 election. The entire defense plan gets frozen. Canada slides back to its old position in NATO. Likelihood? Possible. Especially if a global downturn arrives. So what is the final picture? This is the story of one man who took a country others laughed at, stood in front of the world, and said, "We are ready." Mark Carney is not a typical politician. He is a strategist. With one move, he achieved 3 things. He answered Trump directly. He gave Canadians something to be proud of. He tied defense investment to economic growth. That is dominant leadership. This is not a man who fears pressure. This is a man who converts pressure into power. Trump issued a threat. Carney turned that threat into a historic milestone. And now the entire world is watching. Because today, Canada hit 2%. Tomorrow, it aims for 3.5%. And by 2035, 5% of GDP. On that day, nobody will call Canada weak. Nobody will point at Canada and mock it. This is Carney's Canada. Strong, independent, ready. If this analysis made you think, hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and share this video with someone who believes geopolitics is more than just headlines.